one might get the impression that you're suspiciously involved in the new media. I mean, the sort of thing that President Obama recently denounced as giving Americans too many arguments they shouldn't be considering, too much information they shouldn't be listening to, which harmed our country and harmed our democracy.
He really said that? Wow,
He said
I
that
must have,
at the Hampton College commencement just this last weekend. And he said that it was
extraordinary.
very unfortunate that so many Americans had iPads and iPods.
No.
Yes, he did. And he also said that it was unfortunate that people had Xboxes and Sony PlayStations. So these were involving people in things they should not be involved in.
I'd have to see those remarks in context, but I certainly don't agree that citizens should have access to information technology limited. I'm very shocked to hear that, especially at a commencement address, where it's funny, this week I'm going to SUNY Oswego for a commencement address that I'll be giving, and I'll be telling them kind of the opposite. I'll be telling them what I said in Give Me Liberty, which is go use everything at your disposal to make your own media, to be your own pundits, to not leave it to the talking heads, not leave information to the gatekeepers.
No, I mean, I must say you're one of the very few American thinkers with the courage and the independence of mind to attack both fascism under the Bush regime and now fascism under the Obama regime. And I can't believe I was naive enough to think that things might be actually not quite so bad. But I get a feeling anyway that the police state is even worse today than it was under Bush. And of course, we have horrible people like Lieberman and McCain advocating that if you're suspected of whatever the hate crime of the moment is, that you lose all your citizenship rights and can just be taken to Guantanamo, tortured, and kept indefinitely.
I'm so glad you're raising the alarm about that, Lou, because the mainstream media has been completely silent on it, and it is exactly the kind of legislation that citizens have to be incredibly vigilant to stop in its tracks. Once a law like that passes, there really is no turning back, because just to advocate against it, you become suspect, or you can have your own rights stripped away. You're quite right, Lou. And I have to say, it's funny, when you were introducing me in the progressive tradition, I do come from that tradition, but I am increasingly finding, as my thinking develops and as I have wonderful conversations with people like you and others on both sides of the quote-unquote divide, that I don't identify with any of those labels anymore, except probably trending more and more libertarian. Social, if there's some word for social network plus individual libertarian, or social welfare net, but let's table that. You are right. What I'm seeing now is that the Bush administration, it's like these guys are serving the same entities, it would appear. Bush sort of institutionalized and introduced a number of these markers for a closing society or a closed society. And I, too, was naive enough to think, the pendulum swings in America. We can get, fresh leadership. There'll be house cleaning. Certainly, Obama campaigned on a basis of closing Guantanamo. That was one of his first gestures, an executive order, as I recall, to close Guantanamo. He campaigned on restoring the separation of powers, denounced the stripping of liberties. He denounced torture. He said rightly that torture was shaming us in the eyes of the world. I had extremely high hopes, and what is so terrifying is that this is clearly a constitution. He's a constitutional scholar. I doubt that he, voluntarily is eager to shred the Constitution on a personal ideological basis. Clearly, the American president no longer has the autonomy he or she needs to work with Congress to defend our liberties, because what we're seeing under the Obama administration is the institutionalization of impunity and the ratcheting up of one after another of the initiatives that the Bush team set in motion. And I could just, if we were to go down the list, it would be shocking. Elena Kagan, the new pick for the Supreme Court, she has spoken in support of preventive detention forever. This means holding people forever with no trial, no witnesses, no review. That goes so far beyond anything that the worst of the Bush cabal ever floated. And it confirms my certainty that the people they want to hold forever in Guantanamo are people who are being held forever because the crimes committed against them in terms of torture and abuse are so perverse and so severe that it would be a mega scandal if they ever were allowed to tell their story. So that's so terrifying. You've got McCain and Lieberman advocating this bill that you rightly described, which, if it passed, were to put all of us in immediate jeopardy for having a conversation like this one. You've got Obama. When I was in Guantanamo last July, I saw that under Obama they were building it up. There were millions of dollars of fresh construction going on, and I thought, he's not going to close Guantanamo. And sure enough, now not only has he abandoned talk of closing Guantanamo, but he's trying to reproduce Guantanamo here in the United States. The Patriot Act still stands. Again and again, when there's a challenge to torture or rendition, his Justice Department advocates the same nonsensical state secrets claims that the Bush Justice Department did. And now they're trying to weaken Miranda rights. And let me just say to everybody listening, always I say to people, if you think this is about, quote unquote, the terrorists, think again, it's about you. The reason John Adams defended the worst, quote unquote, terrorist of his time, the British soldiers accused of committing the Boston Massacre, is that he understood that the worst of the worst have to get a fair trial in this country if you're not going to have a situation in which any citizen can be stripped of his or her rights. And if you're going to take an American citizen, which is the guy who has been accused of, the latest car bomb issue in Times Square, and you're going to hold him and interrogate him without reading him his rights or getting counsel there, that is a half step from that being able to happen to you or me. And once that is gone, I keep saying, really, this is the hallmark of a police state. Really, it's the hallmark of a police state. Under Obama, we had such a militarized response to demonstrators in Pittsburg. People were rounded up.